All right, welcome back, y'all. This is episode 89 today, and I got Nom with me as well. Dan is still on his work trip. He won't. I think he'll be gone next week as well. So he'll be coming back for our Halloween, around Halloween time. So that should be a fun time. But like I said, I got Nom here with me today, and we're gonna be doing a first look on Deadman Wonderland, which is a pretty interesting show. We're gonna be talking about the first 6 episodes. That's what we watched. And then yeah. And before we get started, I guess the best way to support us is to rate the podcast. Make sure you tell your friends about us. If you have any interesting topics or questions or anything like that that you want us to discuss for an episode or whatever on the podcast, let us know. Linktree.com/anime Degens. Join the Discord. Yeah. So Nam, you want to get started on some news?
Let's do it. So, first bit of news, we'll get the sad news out of the way first, guys. One Piece is taking a 6-month break. This is so that way they can ensure a higher quality for the remainder of Egghead. And while it is on break, we will be getting Fishman Island reanimated. Reanimated. Not necromancy though, okay? It's not dead. As much as I wish it was, it's not dead. It is being cut down to 21 episodes though. So
No, you can't lie though. So even though the Fishman Island arc wasn't, top tier, right? We still got Shirahoshi, we still got Two Piece, and we still got canonically Sanji literally almost dying to a nosebleed.
literally none of that could have happened and the story would have still progressed just fine.
But Shirahoshi, bro.
We would have been introduced to Shirahoshi literally in an earlier time. You could have just had it be literally them going down there, meeting Shirahoshi, and then Sanji almost dying, and then them leaving.
But
Bam.
what about
Fishman
Horty?
Island, done. 2
What
episodes.
about Horty Jones?
He needs to go away permanently.
What about
he shriveled up at the end. He's the worst villain. Exactly. He's the worst villain. He needed steroids. What a bitch.
He needed the rumble balls.
0 out of 10 villain, dude. My nephew could fucking take him on. He's like 6.
That's tragic. But yeah, it is gonna be tragic, but I guess at least they're giving us something, to watch while One Piece is on a break, I guess. I'm just like, I'm super curious why they chose Fishman Island to be the one that got the remake or whatever, or reanimation, but
worst arc. They could have literally just done Alabasta from the moment that they actually got there, right? And just made it like an action sequence oriented rework, right? You cut out a lot of the story, you focus on more of the action parts, and you reanimate those. Give us some excitement for what's about to come. That would have been what I wanted to see. Not to mention, it's got Vivi. Vivi is playing a much more important part in this anime now. You cannot tell me otherwise with everything that we've seen based around the Reverie and the fact that, I don't know, has she popped up a couple times? I feel like she's popped up a couple times.
Yeah, Vivi has, yeah.
So, I mean, we gotta keep that in mind too, right? They're focusing on a pointless arc that has absolutely zero bearing on the story aside from Shirahoshi. And you're completely missing...
was in the Reverie too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. We could have learned about her from there. And they could have just been like, oh, hey, by the way, ancient weapon. Cool.
But then again, Fishman Island was a big deal because that's how the Big Mom debacle started. So, right? Oda interweaves so much shit into these arcs. So it's like you can't skip any of them. So, um,
You really
but
can't.
I have a feeling the reason why they're doing this is because this is gonna be airing in One Piece's spot, apparently. And they're gonna reduce it down to 21 episodes from the original 57, and that literally is just enough to make it to One Piece coming back. So, uh, like that's basically 6 months essentially. So October 27th is when that's gonna start. Um, and when One Piece does come back in April of 2025, One Piece will be in a new time slot, they announced. And we won't know which time slot that will be or if it's a different day or what until December. They said they was going to announce in December. So do you think this might be a thing with them just catching up to the manga and they just want to like make a gap, or do you think this is just quality, like they said?
I think this is just quality. I mean, there was a lot of like anticipation leading up to Gear 5 reveal, right?
Yeah,
And there was like those huge animation changes leading all the way up from it. What was it, like episode 1013, I think it started. And the
yeah,
quality
probably.
just like stayed at like a steady incline the entire time. Um they really need to keep that level going through the rest of Egghead. For those of us who've read the manga, we already know it is straight gas. And if they don't do, if they don't give it the same attention that they gave Wano, like it is gonna do a huge disservice. I'm not saying that like the GARP scenes that they just created were mid or anything like that, but they need to take it a step higher for what's to come in Egghead.
Yeah.
So that's truly what I believe is that they're really going all out and pretty much maxing out the budget probably per quarter. So they can only make so many episodes and they're just waiting for their budget to reset.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm kidding. It's probably nothing to do with budget, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, like if it was budget related, they probably wouldn't be reanimating Fishman Island and while they was on break, right?
Yeah, no, dude, it's One Piece. They like Toei's probably given that whole animation department like in a blank check. Like just make it.
But the
We don't
thing
care how
is
much it
like
costs.
when Gear 5 hit, you remember them talking about how they've been working on Gear 5, like the Gear 5 episode for like so many, like for a long ass time or whatever. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what they're doing here is
Oh,
they're trying to
oh
work
yeah.
on the important stuff
Oh yeah,
ahead of
no.
time.
If you wanted me, I could point out exactly which chapters they are exactly doing. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
going
fine.
to on the podcast, but I could definitely tell you if you wanted to, Tyler.
Yeah, it's
Don't
fine.
don't
I
don't
just
at me, don't DM me. You're not getting that information, chat. If you want to know, read it. You'll find out which ones. You'll know instantly.
Yeah. I feel like that's what's happening here is they're doing like a lot of the work right now, like a lot of the heavy work. That way that when the time comes, it's easier to put it out on a weekly basis. So while being like that level of quality. So
Oh yeah.
um I also want to mention that One Piece fan letter special that they've been talking about. It's also coming to Netflix on October 26th. Like I said, in the rundown, we talked about this a little bit in the rundown.
Yep.
If depending on what this is or whatever, we may like cover this on the rundown in One Piece's spot. We'll just have to watch and see what exactly it is because we don't really know what's going on with it. So, uh, I'm pretty. It sounds like it's going to be like a one episode thing. So we'll see what's going on with it.
Yep. And another bit of sad news. This one really broke my heart. Right after Tyler was a little party pooper and sent me that the anime was going on that 6 month break. My Google feed then informed me that the manga will also be taking a break. luckily, I found out that it is only going to be from October 20th to November 10th. So it does give us, a much shorter break than the anime does. Still hurts because that means that this week is the last chapter for 3 weeks. But it's good to see Oda taking these breaks, especially with everything that's going on in the series and just how close it is to being completed. Anytime that you need to take it. We're well okay with waiting.
Yep, sure is. Well, I guess
Another news.
yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I guess that's all the One Piece news we got. It was a heavy One Piece day, so
yep,
just
yep. That
hang in there,
is.
straw hats.
We'll get through this, guys. We'll get through this. All right. Um. Now for a bit of happy news, Windbreaker season 2 is set for April 2025. So looking like it's going to be part of the spring rotation. Kind of pumped about that. So Windbreaker was an excellent show, amazing choreographs, and just excellent fight scenes all around. True fight scenes too, not panel to panel scenes,
Yeah,
actual fighting.
not
So
reaction shit, but
yeah,
I'm excited for this too. So I'm glad that it's coming back in April. I think there's been a couple of things introduced for April already, so I love seeing it. Um, that being said, also the Kowloon generic romance anime is going to be coming in 2025 as well. I've heard some good things about this. I haven't never like read it or anything, but I'm always interested in a great romance, and I've heard good things about this. Also, it has a live action coming as well in 2025. So, I guess we'll just have to stay tuned for that to see when in 2025 it's coming. So, um, but yeah,
is that actually the name of it?
yeah,
That sounds like such a generic title. See what I did
yeah.
there? See what I did?
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of people talk about it, so I'm interested to see what's up. I'm a huge fan of slice of life and romances, So when I get a popular romance coming out, it makes my day. So
That is true. And I got some news that'll probably make some other people's day as well. Yoshiro Togashi from Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter gave a recent health update. So, for those of you who are unaware, the manga is coming back, Hunter x Hunter. And his update was my back has recovered enough that I can draw sitting in a chair. I'll continue drawing at my own pace. So it's not exactly like a hey, this is how many chapters I'm aiming for, but the fact of the matter is that the man is no longer feeling that much discomfort while drawing. So that is actually really good news for the anime or for the manga. So I'm probably going to end up picking that one up pretty soon here, especially since One Piece is going on a slight break. Need
yeah,
something to read.
yeah, I know a lot of people was excited about it coming back. He's had spurts where he's come back and had to stop again because like it was just so bad on him. It was so horrible for him. So it's definitely great news that he can actually draw sitting up now because I don't know how else you would want to draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and then this
so
just kind of goes to further explain why so many people are also perfectly okay when Oda says, I need to take a break. Manga artists are under a lot of pressure and they push themselves probably harder than most people do realistically. So the fact that he's feeling better, that's good, and why we also strive for these guys to take breaks when they need to. So that way they
yep,
can keep up with their health, keep on doing what they're doing.
yep. Another thing we got going on, we also got My Hero Academia. The final season has been announced for 2025. So we know the manga is coming to an end or has ended. I forget which, but next year, 2025 will be the last of the anime. So we got a lot of different shows coming to an end now. So, which is kind of sad, but I guess, it's time for some of these other shows, shonens to start stepping up and, showing us what they got. So start taking over the anime space. So
It's time for the next generation.
yep. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all the news we got today. And now we get into what we actually came here for, and that is going to be the first look at Deadman Wonderland. We watched 6 episodes. So this will have spoilers up to episode 6. If you haven't watched it yet, at least watch 6 episodes. I feel like a lot of people has watched this already. This was recommended by or suggested by Booty Stank from Discord. And he wanted us to take a look at this and give our thoughts on it. So this is going to be an anime, 12 episode anime. I think it's got one special episode, like OVA or something. So 13 total episodes from 2011. It's got a MAL score of 7.14. And it's done by Studio Manglobe, and they are the ones that done Samurai Champloo, if I recall. This also has a mature rating, which not many anime has. So that was interesting to see. And this is a very gory survival game shonen style anime. And before we actually get into like our little discussion section, I just want to read a quick summary, real quick, to give people that it's been a while since they watched it or haven't watched it. Let them know what's
Is
coming
this
up.
is
So
this your summary or is this the official summary?
no, I usually don't do my summaries on this type of stuff. So I just
Okay,
take it from the actual thing.
I want to make sure we clarify that because we do have, exclusive original summaries for the rundown. I just want people to know this is actually from the anime itself.
Yeah, yeah.
So
This is from Mal or Wikipedia or wherever I forget. I got this at. So
it
um
looked like it's from Al.
yeah. But anyways, it looked like it would be a normal day for Ganta Igarashi and his classmates. They were preparing to go on a class field trip to a certain prison amusement park called Deadman Wonderland, where the convicts perform dangerous acts for the onlookers' amusement. However, Ganta's life is quickly turned upside down when his whole class gets massacred by a mysterious man in red. Framed for the incident and sentenced to death, Ganta is sent to the very jail he was supposed to visit on his field trip. But Ganta's nightmare is just beginning. So, before we get started on this, when we read this summary back when we was trying to decide what to do this week, we read this and I was like, you know, this sounds wild. Like what circumstances like is going to be in this, because there's a prison amusement park. They're going to a field trip there. Like a whole class gets killed. Like, do they get? There's like a lot of questions going through my head. And then the main character supposedly gets framed for it and gets sent to death row. And I'm just like, bro, what is going on with this? And it kind of made me a lot. It kind of made me very interested to see what's actually going on with it, because I'd heard of this before and I didn't really know what it was about, but I'd heard it was bloody. That's the only thing I've ever heard about Deadman Wonderland. So have you ever heard of this before, Nam, or was this your first experience with it?
I I feel like I've seen it a few times while I was perusing through Crunchyroll, like it was recommended to me, but I've never actually sat there and purposely looked at it any closer, right? There's quite a few anime that I do that with, and people end up recommending it to me, and I feel like I should just take the initiative and start actually looking more at some of these animes. Because after reading more about it and then actually watching some of these episodes, I found it actually really hard to kind of stop watching. Like, the only reason why I stopped was because I was like, "Oh, man, it's really late. I gotta go to bed. I'm tired." Okay. So, it's like one of those things.
So,
Uh,
um, do you remember, like, after you read the synopsis or whatever? Because we did read it or whatever, do you remember what you was thinking?
I was like, "Man, this sounds like it's gonna be really fucking cool." Because it's a shonen, right?
Yeah.
So we knew that going into it. I mean, obviously shonens mean that it's gonna be a battle anime. I love me a good battle anime. I don't even have to particularly like any of the characters in there. As long as there's like really cool action scenes, I can get behind it. Just some brain rot. Um, but it took a much, much like deeper turn within like the first episode, and I was just like, oh my god, how have I not fucking known about this? How has nobody ever mentioned this one before?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the first episode. Like Nom said, the first episode it literally like just throws you in there, and like it shows you like so much. It kind of overloads you with so much shit that's going on that doesn't make sense. You know?
His entire class was massacred.
Yeah, we only got to see him for like probably 5 minutes. Like he
Not
was going to
even.
school, they was talking, like they was having their conversations. We got to see him and Mimi interact with each other, and then all of a sudden some red dude shows up and everybody's dead. And I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like what the hell is going on here, bro? Did that moment hook you, or did you need it more? Did you need more from the first episode to really get you going?
Um, so that was definitely very interesting. By the way, they survived all of about 3 minutes and 35 seconds.
Oh, did you look it up?
I'm, I pulled up the episode right now. I'm looking at all their corpses.
I
Um,
got you. I knew it was less than 5 minutes.
so I'll say though, like that part there really did intrigue me. I was very confused because I was like, oh, why are they introducing us to this whole cast of characters and they're just getting rid of them all for one guy? And then the trial. I think the trial is what ultimately sealed it for me.
Yeah.
How that lawyer had all those that like video showing him as like the bad guy and to saying all that twisted shit.
And the crazy thing is when the lawyer first appeared on the screen, right? You kind of like I got the feeling that he was sus, but I just didn't know how he was sus, you know. But he was sus, you know what I mean? He was
He,
bad.
so I didn't really get that feeling, but like after seeing everything, I was like, oh, okay, he is sus. What the hell's going on here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it was God, it was such a good episode. I'll say that.
I will mention as well, like the everybody dying. It did interest me a lot, but then we started getting into like the lawyer doing that shit, like Nam said, and you start to learn that like it's like corruption. It's like corruption and like just setting him up,
Oh
and
yeah.
you don't really see that in anime a whole lot, just blatant like a setup like that, a frame job. And so it was really interesting cuz you're like why are they going through the trouble to do this? Like why Ganta? Why is he the only one left? Who is this red man? Like all these questions came out of one episode, and you're just like, he gets a red gem planted in him in his chest or whatever, and we don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, what it is or whatever until later. And it's just like, who in their right mind, logically, who in their right mind would um blame a middle school kid for killing 29 of his classmates and he was the only one like left alive? Like, you go in that room and you're like, "Oh, this kid did it," right? With nothing. And I'm just like, how do you come to that conclusion? You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess it's like one of the mysteries with the world building that they haven't really detailed right, because we learn about something a little bit later on. And I guess my question would be is like how public is that knowledge? Obviously there's the Deadman Wonderland where they do all the carnival stunts and stuff, but is that all that there is to that? Because if so, then I mean people wouldn't really have an idea of powers, but maybe if like, say the Red Man was more well known, maybe powers aren't exactly that, you know,
Oh,
uncommon of a thing to see out of people, and maybe this kid just happened to have some and was twisted.
I see what you're saying. So you think it's hard to know because what I think what Nam's saying is that we don't know what the world.
Knows about these people yet.
Yeah, we don't know if the world knows about these powers or if they don't know about these powers. I assume not, but we haven't been like, we don't have a confirmation either way, you know. It like when anybody interacts with them, like so in the prison or whatever, when he gets to the prison because he got a death sentence or whatever, he gets to the prison, the the most of the students up top, they are surprised when they see like the powers, right? But then you get like down to the G block or whatever, later on, they're not surprised because like they are the powers. And so
Mhm.
that kind of makes me believe that people don't really know about these powers since they were so surprised about it. Like they've only seen it, you know, I think a couple of them mentioned that they've seen the Red Man or whatever like once before. Like there's like a myth or something about a rumor going on with him or something that's being passed around. So um looking back, like since we've watched 6 episodes, do you have any idea why like Gonta was the one chosen? Like, do you have any theories on that? Do you think he was like ordered to do it, or do you think like there's a reason he was chosen?
I think ultimately he's just got the short end of the stick. The Red Man probably planted a power in him since he was the only one that survived that explosion. And maybe that's what he does, right? Maybe he goes around causing like a mass destruction and then he creates deadmen out of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, didn't they say at
He
some
was
point
like
that like his
he was
name
like a
is the wretched
source.
egg and like he's the did you say the source? Like he's the one
Yeah.
that creates new ones, I guess, is what they led on they led us to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Um but yeah, I wanted to say bad luck. I thought it was like just bad luck for Gonta, but I think it's a little bit more than that just because of the fact that we got to see those flashbacks with Shiro. We know that he was with involved with whatever the hell is going on over there at some point or another, right? So it almost seems like it's not a coincidence, you know. It seems
True.
like they went for him specifically um because of that reason maybe. Maybe he was like a orphan test subject or some shit, right? So, um but let's talk about the actual prison, right? Because that's what this show's about. It's about Deadman Wonderland, and this is a prison that is also an amusement park. All these prisoners, they I guess live at this Deadman Wonderland prison. It's a private prison. They say it's the only private prison in the world or whatever. And they also run a theme park out of it, where the prisoners, I guess, work there and they put on shows there as well. And so, like, I feel like this is like very, like, it's very crazy for something like this to even exist, right? Like, there's no way this is a good idea, right?
No, not at all. I mean, you're asking prisoners to put on a show and act like circus animals in front of the public. And no matter what kind of measures you take, either A, you're going to have to kill the prisoners, or B, the prisoners are going to try and find a way to break out and either escape or potentially kill the public.
Yeah. I mean, I know they got the collars on, which I guess kind of settled them down a lot because apparently the collars, they can kill them with the collars. They can like stun them. They got GPS on them, and apparently like every day the collars is actually injecting a poison into them, and they have to eat an antidote candy like every 3 days in order to actually stay alive. Like this is some bizarre shit, like they really done their, I guess they done a good job at like building the world and like the stuff going on around it. Um because like this is some crazy shit, right? Like the collars, the antidote, the candy or whatever, the poison being injected, like
They
that
really thought ahead on all of that. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
that's not something you see like in real life, that this is some anime shit.
well, not to mention, too, just, how absurd it is. Candy is the antidote.
Yeah.
And on top of that, too, I mean, just the work that they have to do to actually, like, earn a candy as well.
Yeah, what they say? 100? Was it 100,000 or 1,000 or 10,000? It was very expensive.
I think it was 10,000.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, they basically have to buy the candy or win it out of the contest, right?
yeah, and the candy, like you have to have the candy to keep living, even if you don't have a death sentence. Like some of these people, they aren't sentenced to death. They're just there as prisoners. And but if they don't have a candy, if they don't eat a piece of candy in every 3 days, then they will die. That is insane, Uh, but one thing that's even crazier, I feel like, is a school taking a field trip to said theme park. That is absolutely insane, right? Like, there's
You
no
would
way there's no way I would ever go to a like a Deadman Wonderland type, I guess amusement park or whatever, right?
no, it'd be fine. They got those collars, right?
Yeah, but like I just don't know about it now. Like I I would
You're
never go
perfectly
there. There's no way I would send my kids there. So how in the hell does people, I mean, do you think it's okay?
Do I think it's okay? No, but obviously in that world, it is something that is acceptable.
What is wrong with this world?
What do you think is wrong with it? This is an anime world. There's a lot of things wrong with it.
Yeah, so it just like blew my mind. Like the first couple episodes, I was just sitting there with my jaw like open, my mouth open. I'm just like, what am I watching? What kind of world is this, bro?
Yeah, no, it was really off the wall and wild, but it was something that was still pretty interesting too how they were setting it up. At least with as far as the dead men, right?
Yeah,
Like we haven't really talked about them yet, but that's
yeah,
essentially what our main character is a dead man.
yeah. Well, what he got what he inherited, I guess, or got planted inside of him. I don't know. I don't know what you'd call it, but apparently there's a lot of dead men, Um, like so this not only is this a theme park, the Deadman Wonderland, not only is it a theme park and a prison, but also it's like a research and development type thing, I guess. And they do like some underground shit. So they have like a special block that holds dead man. And what they do is all these dead men are scheduled to be they're on death row basically. And like they all have these powers, just different types of powers, I guess, but they're all powers, and they literally hold these daily fights, these daily 1v1s, um, to the death. Like they can die in it or whatever, but they do it every day for testing. They say it's for testing, which is interesting, and then they make money off of those fights too somehow. Maybe betting, or maybe people are buying them, like buying their the people. I'm not sure. Like, what's your thoughts? What do you think they're doing?
If I had to guess, it's probably them uh, betting
Yeah, they
because
called it
it's the thing that makes
marketing.
the most sense.
Yeah, they called it marketing or whatever. So and the one thing I forgot to mention, the lawyer that put Gonta like in this prison and put him on death row or whatever, got him put on there, is like the main coordinator that's doing all this shit in the prison, like the underground part of the prison. So um it's just a lot, there's a lot going on in the first couple episodes with all this stuff going on. But let's get into like some of the crazier things that's happening in this prison. So we got like an event. We was talking about events, and this is how they earn their like points or whatever, their money inside the prison. And they have events, and this one's called the dog race. It's one that we got to see. It's the only event we got to see so far, and it's called the
Yep.
dog race. And basically it's like it reminded me a lot of freaking Ultimate Ninja Warrior or whatever, right?
Okay.
Or Fall Guys, even Fall Guys. If you never watched like Ninja Warrior or whatever on like Spike TV, then Fall Guys would be, um, you know, would be a really good example, probably too, right?
I would say so. Probably more Fall Guys than the other one, than
Yeah.
the Ninja Warrior, but
So,
still the
so
same concept though.
yeah, so we're leaving something out though. So this is a public. There's audience. There's a public audience for this, and they like. So usually you have like stuff swinging or whatever, and you got to dodge the swinging things as you're going across the narrow bridge thing or whatever. They have that in this game too, just like Ninja Warrior and Fall Guys. Except this one, it's a freaking it's like a cleaver. It's like a giant axe thing that literally just like cuts people in half. And what is interesting about all this is like they have all these different obstacles, and all these obstacles has the ability to kill you, right? And if you like go out of bounds or whatever, or try to like quit early by leaving the obstacle course, they literally just shoot you. And what was interesting is I don't think that's how it usually goes. They acted like that's not how it usually went. They acted like this was a special thing, just because Gonta was playing in it. And I never figured out why the lawyer was trying to make it so difficult for Gonta. And another thing that was interesting was the fact that the public, they told the public that this was all an act. And I don't know what kind of brainwash they got going on, because if you see someone get chopped in half, and like their body is split open, that's not an act, folks. That is that you cannot act that out. You know what I mean?
I mean, no, no, you really can't. No, there's absolutely no way. But that's the thing, right? That's what I was saying. Maybe it's become acceptable in that world that okay, they are actors because they are performers, right?
Yeah.
And so that's their basis. Oh, they're just acting.
Well, I think we also got a couple comments during like the dog race from the audience, and they was like, they're just prisoners. Like, it's fine if they get hurt. They're prisoners. They're convicts, you know. And I'm just like, bro, these people are just like, this is some like Squid Game type shit. You know what I mean?
It's even worse than that because
It's
there's
like
no money for
Saw.
them to win at the end.
Like this kind of reminded me of, like Saw type shit, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
some
Honestly, Saw's a lot closer to what I feel like it would be.
because like when you first enter like something like this, like you're not accustomed to it, and everything's kind of like just like how are people like believing this, like why are people doing this, and then as you like do it for so long, you become part of it, you become numb to it, and you like start playing it, and you start like being, you know, just doing and saying shit that um you wouldn't usually do just because like it changed you, you know what I mean, you adapted to it. um and with that being said, like, do you think Ganta done a good job at adapting to this environment, going from a middle school classroom to this hellhole?
No, not at all.
He
He's done a
struggled, didn't
fucking
he?
horrible job. And hey, you know what? That's part of the charm of it though, right? Cuz he is so innocent of a character and he's forced to try and get through this. He doesn't want to fight. He's basically forced to cuz he doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
And you know, it actually adds I think more to the story because of that. So no, I don't think he's adapting at all. I think as a matter of fact, he's failing so hard that it's actually saving him.
And I feel like I like that because a normal person, right? Like a normal person that gets thrown into this situation, I feel like he's representing that, right? Like they
For
wouldn't
sure.
know how to act. They wouldn't be able to adapt. You just got blamed for killing all your friends. Like you literally had the father of your best friend who I'm pretty sure that he said that he treated him like his own son or whatever. And I guess they hung out a lot or something. And I'm kind of thinking that he doesn't have any parents, and I think that like I really think doesn't have any parents, just based on how Mimi's father reacted to him, reacted to his death or his killing everyone apparently allegedly. So um
It would
like
definitely make
it's
sense too.
yeah, it's just interesting to see uh all that. I mean the amount of emotional burden that is placed on this kid for just living, you know what I mean, is wild. So, um, one thing I want to mention about like the carnival corpse. So they got a carnival corpse. If y'all watch this, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like the underground games, the testing or whatever, the 1v1s. And if you they do a 1v1 against the blood powers, and like literally the first day or second day, Ganta has to do a 1v1 against the crow, they call him. And Ganta ends up winning. And you know, the crow didn't die. But apparently if you lose your 1v1 and you're still alive, you get to play the slot game. And I know that sounds fun, but it's not a normal slot game. It's got body parts on it. And some of them was like vital parts. Some of them's like ears, eyes, whatever. And like whatever it lands on, that's what they take from your body. I thought that was really messed up. Like this show did that like I cannot stress how much this show is so dark and messed up and bloody, and it deserves a mature rating for sure.
100%. I mean, not only the language, but a lot of the graphic scenery that they show is definitely not something that should pass in normal instances. And I was confused on when I first booted it up. I got like a content warning,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I was like, "Oh, oh, oh, oh,
Uh,
oh,
yeah.
whoa, oh,
Yeah, when
all right."
when the first minute and a half, arms are flying everywhere, that's what they mean,
Yeah, no, and at that point I was like, "Okay, you know what? Have at it. Yeah, by
Uh,
all means."
you know, something confused me though, and I don't know why they did it, but they was beeping and censoring some words. Did you see that?
I didn't notice that, no.
You never noticed that? Okay, so I watched 5 episodes subbed, and I watched the 6th episode dubbed. And like in the subbed, they would literally beep out words, and they would like censor it in the subtitles. They done it like 3 or 4 different times. And that didn't make any sense because like what the hell what is the difference in saying like the F word when you're showing us like heads getting decapitated, you know what I mean? And like so much
Yeah.
blood and shit and all this other shit. So I was really confused about that. Why there was censorship in the voices, the audio. So
Yeah, no, that is very strange.
yeah. I didn't realize it wasn't in the dub. So like they done it like 3 or 4 different times while I was watching. Uh But yeah, it was very interesting. Like I said, I didn't know if that was just like I didn't know why it was there because this is a mature rated show. Like it tells you. So, um, but yeah, speaking of like the um the characters. So let's talk about the characters a little bit. Since we talked about the prison and stuff, um, we've discussed like how messed up the prison actually is. Now let's talk about like the people that's in the prison, and obviously Gaunt is there. We talk about him a little bit. He's just a middle school boy, thrown into this awful hellhole of a world. All of a sudden, everybody's blaming his all his friends' death on him. He can't get them to believe that he didn't do it, and that's I mean, rightfully so. I mean, they literally got a fake video of him saying that he did it or whatever. So,
Bragging
um,
about it.
yeah. And so, shout out to the lawyer for like staging something like that. Uh, but we need to talk about Shiro. I feel like Shiro gets introduced like really early on. It was one of the we actually seen Shiro before before Ganta gets there, and she's like standing on top of one of the buildings. She's like, "Oh, Ganta, my friend's coming or whatever." And I'm just like, Ganta's not even there. Like, how do you know Ganta? She's acting like she knows Ganta, and like I I really like her. I ain't gonna lie. She like the character, like the story was so dark. I feel like it needed someone like her to offset it. You know what I mean? Balance it out a little bit, I guess. You know what I mean? So I really like it. I
Okay.
loved it when she showed up. because her personality and her character is like the opposite of what we're seeing in the show all the time. She's so like happy and positive, and she's so simple minded. So,
Oh yeah.
what did you think about her?
Very, very strange character. Um, the same thing. Like, how does she already know about this person? At the same time, though, it was also confusing her outfit. I was like, is she supposed to be like naked? Is she like wearing a bodysuit? What's going on? And then the fact too that as we were going through, we also got to hear that like she doesn't have a number either,
Yeah, which is
which is an
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, like why is she breaking into the prison then? That was my first thought, right? Like what is she doing?
Yeah, like so she don't wear the uniforms that they give out. She don't seem to be wearing a collar, I don't think. Like I looked several times and it did not look like she was wearing a collar. She did not act like she was wearing a collar. Um she's very different. You can tell she's different. She's got white hair. Uh and like her bodysuit, her skin tight bodysuit or whatever. It is very interesting because like it's just white and it's got like uh red circles on it or whatever. And like it makes me wonder like why did they choose that? Like instead of choosing just like a normal bodysuit, why did they choose white with just red like circles in random spots? You know what I mean? Like there has to be a reason, right?
Um, could be, someone that is related to her, right? I would say that was probably their choice. I mean, she's a very strange character, right?
Yeah.
She seems very dense, very airheaded at times, very simple-minded. So I would imagine that if anything, she's probably like an experiment.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. We actually see I mentioned earlier that Ganta and Shiro actually we seen like a flashback of them and they was like very little. They was little kids and Shiro was playing with Ganta and like he always got hurt or whatever and they had one adult figure looking over them and it was just weird. We seen that, and it makes me believe that's why I said it wasn't. I don't think it was bad luck. I think it was planned to be Ganta, the one that was implanted with the crystal or whatever. Because of this moment. Because we see that them interacting with each other, you would assume they grew up together, and that's why it makes sense if he doesn't have any parents. Because like, why would he be there like with Shiro? Like I assume they're at Deadman Wonderland at that time. Since Shiro is still there, and so it seems like they grew up together at Deadman Wonderland as kids. I guess. Did you think so? Or what do you think was like
No,
why do you
that's
think they showed
exactly
us
how it
this
looked.
scene? So,
That's exactly how it looked to me. That it was something involving exactly that, right? Like he's got ties to this place from before.
yeah.
It's not just like it's something new. He's he's been there, whether
Yeah,
he realizes it or not.
and just like Nam said, maybe Shiro is like a test subject. Maybe she was like, I guess, made there. Maybe she, you know, and here's another thing too is I think all this happened after the Red Hole event, which it keeps getting referenced but we actually don't know what it is, right? We just know there's a red hole event, and you can assume that like there's a hole, and probably I think it has something to do with these red crystals, right? So, and the red crystals, um, I think came from the whole event. Maybe like a meteor come down or something, and that's the red crystals is like the aftermath of that meteor crash or something. Is what I'm thinking, and or something like
Okay.
that. And I kind of think the Shiro came with it. That's what I
Okay.
think. Dude,
That's definitely an interesting take. Um,
I mean, she's just so different, bro.
I guess it would go a bit of ways to explaining a little bit about her more too, because again, there is really no information about her other than what we've seen, right? Which
Yeah, they're
isn't
keeping it
much.
locked down, so
But yeah, no. It's a really interesting theory, especially. So here's the thing too: is I watched episode 7. There's a little bit more information in regards to her in that episode.
yeah,
But I'm
I
not
can
gonna
see
get
that.
into that with you because
Yeah,
obviously, if you haven't seen it, I'm not trying to ruin that. But
I can see that because we started in episode 6. We actually started seeing some big things coming from her.
mhm.
She's uh which they done like she was being manipulated by you or yo, whatever you want to call his name, and she actually like I assume killed a bunch of people in the guard tower. That's what it looked like, and it was interesting because after she killed all of them, like I was always wondering why she had gloves on. She always had these gloves on, these mitts on or whatever. And after she did it, like she didn't have them on no more. And I was like, well, maybe that contains her powers because, you know, she just killed all these people with some type of power. And then after come out, she come out and I don't know how the dubbed was, but the red man, every time he was on the screen, he always did like this weird sound. It was like Kishi, Kishi, or something like that. And that's what it would say. It would say like Kishi, and he would like smile, he would smirk or whatever. And Shiro did that after she just killed all these people. She come out there and did that while she was standing on the roof or whatever. And at that moment, I'm just like, is she the red man? Did she? Is she actually the red man? Is she the one that killed all them people at his school? Is she the one that chose Ganta?
Absolutely insane. But I don't think that that's what it is. It doesn't seem like it, right? Because why would she necessarily be how she is and then also turn around and be the red man and then try and assault him like that? It's not like they were buddy buddy, right? Because there was that time when he actually invaded in the prison.
Oh yeah, and he protected Shiro, right? So it's like that Spider-Man thing, right? They're both there at the
Exactly.
same time. So I didn't think about that because I really was because that was just weird that she literally done the same thing the Red Man did. So that's very interesting. Um, but yeah, now I don't think that she is a Red Man just because I forgot about the whole when Shiro met Ganta and he had to use his powers for the first time or whatever. So, um, but yeah, I really liked Shiro. I'm pretty sure she's my favorite character. She's like a free spirit essentially. Um, like she just does what she wants to do. I'm just kind of confused as how she's able to have free roam, basically, right?
Yeah,
'Cause-
I mean, especially considering too that again, they don't know who she is. So
yeah,
what is she doing out there?
yeah. Like she has no ID or anything like that. Like she doesn't have a collar on that we know of, but she's able to participate and just go anywhere she wants at any time. So It's definitely interesting to I want to know more about her, and apparently we get some more. That's the problem with only watching 6 episodes, is because we don't really get to see like everything, especially in a show like this where they like hide stuff for you from you on purpose, which I feel like they're doing a lot of. So, um, but we after she like kills everyone up there in the guard tower, she gets carried off by like white haired people as well, 2 white haired people, and they end up in the director's room. And this is the second time this got mentioned. He's talking to her and he's saying that the lullaby has ended, and he basically needs her to do a favor or whatever. And she had mentioned before something about the lullaby stopped. So that's an interesting aspect that we got going on uh in the 6th episode. I'm pretty sure it's the 6th episode. It's like, what is this lullaby? Like this the and what is like what's going on in the director's room, Like it seems like he knows her, and stuff like that, so I think she's really important. So,
It would definitely seem that way, at the very least.
yeah. Um, do you have any idea what the lullaby is?
No, but if anything, it would tie into my theory about her being an experiment, right?
Okay.
Because they would then use that to pacify her essentially. Because maybe she does have a much more twisted side, right? After the lullaby stopped, she snapped and she killed all those people. So it would make sense that maybe that would be the same, right? Maybe they use the lullaby to pacify her so that way she doesn't lose control and snap.
Yeah, she did have like a personality change or whatever, it seemed like. So, um, when the lullaby stopped or whatever, she said. So, um, let's talk about one more character. Uh, we got to meet her in the 6th episode. And she is a dead man as well. And like she was really fun. Like I I'm so glad we watched 6 episodes because we got to meet her. And like this show was like doing a really good job at keeping me interested or whatever. But then we met her, and I feel like almost I felt like this show was missing a psychopath, right? Like we watched 5 episodes and this show is like dark as hell, blood everywhere, but yet we don't have a psychopath. We got Shiro, but she's not a psychopath that we know of. Like she's just like special and weird, you know. But Minotsuki, who is also the hummingbird, she is a psychopath, and I'm here for it. Like I'm so glad we finally got to see this character introduced. I don't know how long she stays, but she is in the 6th episode. Hopefully, she stays for a while because not gonna lie, she caught me off guard big time. Like she was introduced as this type of character, like the innocent, naive girl, and she is not, and that caught me off guard so fast. What about you?
Same. The personality switch from when she was essentially the helpless little girl
Yeah.
and she, was pleading her case to the main character, Taganta, to then how she just absolutely snapped in the battle, like complete 180. And then she was talking. The way how she was talking to some of her comments, I'm not gonna repeat them, but like
It was out there.
I was like, "Holy shit!" And then her brother showed up, right? Um, which
Yo.
we actually found out. Yep, that's Yo. Um, and she was also saying some of those things about her brother too, and I was like, "Yo, this is
Yo,
exactly what
literally.
Tyler doesn't like."
But like in this instant, like it's okay, right? Like in my opinion, like this
She
this
wasn't.
was okay
Yeah,
because she's a psychopath.
And she wasn't saying it directly about him, just the fact of like, okay, if you're not gonna, please a woman, what good are you? Essentially, is what she was saying.
Yeah.
And that could, mean a number of things.
You
So
know,
that was really really something to say the least.
and I know you didn't watch any of it subbed. Like I said, I watched all 5 episodes subbed, and for this episode, I switched to dubbed. And let me tell you why that matters, Nam, because you seen the dialogue in the dubbed for Minatsky, the hummingbird, right? You
Mhm.
heard what she said. The subbed isn't like that. The subbed is way more tame. Like they don't say anything close to what she says in the dubbed. In the dubbed, she has a very perverted mind, and her whole character, like when she's in the 1v1, the corpse party thing or whatever the hell it's called, she's literally just she's saying that she gets turned on um by like killing people. Like she literally made a comment one time. She's like, I need to hurry up and kill someone that way, or I'm not gonna be able to get off. And I'm just like, yo, what? She's talking about how she was, how she got wet, to certain situations. Like, she is wild, bro, and like, it's crazy that I chose to watch it dubbed for that episode because if I didn't, I wouldn't have any idea what kind of character she actually was because the subbed was not like that. I went back and watched it just to see the difference, and the subbed was like I said, it was night and day. Um,
Okay.
it was so different. Like it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? So that's like I couldn't. I didn't really like Ganta in the dubbed. Um,
Really?
yeah, like he was okay, but for some reason his voice reminded me of like uh what the hell is that cartoon, like that Rugrat cartoon, you know. It reminded me of a character off that the little Rugrats or whatever or some shit. Like his
Okay.
voice. And I just kept on it kept on reminding me of that. But the thing is that was fine because we had Minatsky, because her dubbed voice actor like killed it. Like she literally played the part of psychopath, right? She done a great job.
No, she really did kill that one.
uh also I also want to talk about how the fact before the 1v1, you know, I kind of thought that this was out of place at the time it was. And like the cleavage, like the fan service scenes, right?
Yeah.
The fan service scenes, like her showing like Ganta getting upset over or embarrassed over the cleavage and like her unzipping her dress and like her like dress falling down and showing her boobs and stuff. And I just want to say like that kind of felt out of place, but it made sense after we actually seen her manipulative side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and well, I mean, we also didn't really get to see anything there either. So, like, while the fan service was there, it was more for plot reasons than it was fan service, I would say.
At the time I didn't know that though, you know. At the time I was like, this seems out of place. But
It
I will
really
say
did.
this man literally was gonna drop everything though, just because he seen some titties and try to run away with her. And I'm just like, bro.
Can you blame him, right? Can you blame
Uh,
him? Man gets to see titties for the first time. He's gonna do anything to try and protect them things.
he literally dropped everything, bro. So, um, but yeah, those was like the two standout characters, and the standout characters was definitely Shiro and Minatsky. I feel like Ganta was, you know, just an ant compared to those two. So
He's
Do
the
you
main
have
character.
yeah,
He's the main character in basically name only.
yeah,
He could really be like a side character, especially considering just how interesting Shiro is as a character. And you could pick any of these dead men, right? They've got pretty interesting backstories. You could throw them into any situation as a main character, and it would still be a good show, I feel.
yeah. Also, I mean, do you have any like other characters you want to talk about, or like any like who's your favorite or anything like that? Any that you didn't like?
No, I mean it was a pretty good show overall so far. I felt like each of the characters really was really well represented, right? Like Crow. Crow was like that badass that came out. He kind of played off like the wretched egg, but then he was terrified of women, even fully clothed women.
Yeah, especially
Um,
Shiro.
yeah. She's an airhead, right? But like she's also got that psycho side that we don't get to see. And then we also got Minatsky, who actually does have that psycho side we get to see.
I don't think he's seen her though, right?
Hmm?
I said the crow never did come in contact with her yet that we seen, right?
Minatsuki?
Yeah.
Probably. I would imagine that they have at some point,
Yeah, before or whatever. So,
but not that we have seen on the anime.
yeah. Um. Well, I guess moving on to something else. Uh, let's talk about the power system for just a second. Because this is a pretty unique power system. I feel like. Do you think so? Like the using the blood as powers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and they honestly touched on something too that was like really, really important that I'm glad that they touched up on, right? Ganta was just shooting out blood like bullets, just whipping it across the room.
Yeah.
And in his fight against Crow, he actually started to get a little lightheaded because he was using too much blood. So it's nice to see that while they have these powers, there is a limitation to it as well.
Yeah, and Crow even mentioned during that fight. Crow was like, "Oh, I see you figured it out." I was wondering when you was going to that. Your I guess power type or whatever. Uh, you lose blood or whatever. He said something about it, and the whole time I was thinking like I wonder if, these powers, these blood powers, if they use your blood, if it's like an infinite amount of blood source or if it's like only the blood in your body. And this scene answered that because apparently it's just the blood in your body. And he made also another good point. And since he was just a middle schooler, he has less blood in his body too. So he had the underhand. He was the underdog like the whole time. Like he it wasn't a fair fight, from the get go. So,
No, not at all.
but some other cool powers that we got, like Nom said, Crow, he had like his blood blades. We had the hummingbird, she which was Minatsky, she had like a blood whip, which is pretty cool. Gonta was the woodpecker. He had his blood bullets. And we seen like the red man, the wretched egg. And I'm pretty sure Shiro is one as well. I'm pretty sure she's able to use blood as well, but we haven't been confirmed that, I don't think.
Yeah, we
So
haven't seen that yet.
I just want I just want to know like like what's your favorite ability that you've seen so far? Because I really like the blood blades. Like that's pretty cool.
That was honestly the coolest. It's got to be Crow and then Woodpecker next.
You think so? You think woodpecker? Because I guess we haven't really seen um like
Let
his
him cook.
max ability. His max
Yeah,
potential, right?
yeah.
So
Let him cook. He gonna figure out how to really amplify them shots and not lose a lot of blood.
the speaking of like all that, is there any like blood ability or whatever that you would like to see in the last half of this? or you just here
Uh,
to like here for the ride? Because I'm here for the ride. I know you got an imagination, so
I wanted to see Blood Blades since they already got that out of the way. I'm just here for the ride now.
well they knew what they was doing. They was cooking with the crow. I ain't gonna lie. So
They was.
speaking of the crow, uh, one last thing about him is I felt like that they kind of gave him plot armor during the crow and Ganta's 1v1 in the carnival corpse fight, because like we literally that's when we learned that he wasted all his blood and he basically became anemic and lightheaded and stuff, and he was pretty much fixing to pass out due to that. And you gotta realize that Ganta, he barely knew how to activate his powers at that time, let alone fight with them efficiently. And the crow, he was a very experienced fighter. He'd been doing it for a while. Um, he was like heavily favored to win this fight, and like he knows how to use his powers, and he knows about Ganta apparently. And I feel like Ganta being able to pull that victory off, I feel like that was like heavy plot armor. And it kind of bothered me a little bit, but then again, this is anime, right? Like he's the main character for a reason. We knew it was gonna happen, all that stuff, but I feel like it
Make
would
it
have been fun to see him lose, but not
make it
die, and
make
him
it
get to
less
play the plot
obvious.
wheel. Yeah.
Make the plot armor less obvious, right? Still give
Is
him a
that
chance where he wins, right? But don't make it where he should have lost. And then all of a sudden Shiro's like, he never gives up. And then he gets up and wins. Like, laziest writing ever.
So you thought so too. You thought he had plot armor too.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that it really stood out to me. Like I said, I feel like this show would have been better if at this point we actually got to see the slot machine used on Ganta instead. Because I feel like that would have made more sense, right? Like Ganta losing but not dying, and then them showing us how the slot machine works on Ganta instead, and just taking like a useless piece of, like a finger or like an ear or something, right? I feel like that would have been better.
I
That
don't
would have been
know.
better writing, right?
Maybe, but I think I have an idea of how the story is going to end involving Ganta,
What you
right?
got?
My theory is that essentially what's happening is that they're conditioning Ganta, right, to probably take on the Red Man. Because if the Red Man's the source of this power, right, and they want to end the power, maybe they need to use the power because there's nothing else that can happen, right? Nothing else can touch them. But they don't have anyone strong enough yet, so they have these fights, which allow them to actually get the strength that they need, master their techniques in like a less dangerous way, if you will. If you lose, there's a lot more at stake, so it pushes you to even harder to win. Ganta doesn't know that obviously at first, but maybe they're just training him so that way he can take on the Red Man. And that's the plot armor is going to be why he doesn't lose anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that one because like why would they be trying to kill the red man when like the red man, like they had him sealed away or whatever, right? But he keeps on breaking out apparently or something. But then again, the red man also keeps on giving them new test subjects or whatever. And at the end of the day, the red man also earns them money. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, potentially.
So I don't know why they would be trying to kill the red man, but I do agree with them trying to like strengthen Ganta because like literally every event and everything that Ganta has done, he has had to do it on a harder difficulty than what they usually do. Uh, Apparently is what we've been led to believe. So just like the dog race, it usually isn't that dangerous, and apparently usually you can just like quit halfway through or whatever, and that time you couldn't. Like they specifically made it where Ganta had to keep on going no matter what. So it was all interesting. Um, like all the like Yo was being paid by the lawyer dude to watch over Ganta as well. So like Ganta is like a special person for some reason, um, to everyone, and they're like literally cooking him up to be something. We just don't know what they're wanting him to be, essentially. Um, so is there anything like you said how you think it's gonna end? Is there anything that you'd like to see happen in the second half or like specifically?
Not really. Like we said, we're at this point just kind of here for the ride,
Yeah.
see how things go and stuff like that. I mean, the seventh episode kind of brought a few questions and stuff like that, so it is going to be interesting to see how it closes out.
Yeah, I would like to see Minotsky be a pretty good supporting character. Because I like her character. She like I said, that's what I think this show needed was like that psychopath character. I also want to know more about the red hole because we don't really know a lot about it. It just keeps getting referenced, but it never gets explained. And I also want to know more about like Shiro and Ganta's backstory. I feel like we have to get that eventually. Because like things just don't make sense, about how they was when they was little or whatever. So, especially since I like Shiro a lot, I want to know more about her. So, with that being said, like we said, this is like a very gory show through these first 6 episodes. I'm assuming it's going to continue to be that way. Um, was did that bother you at all, or like did you find that fine? Did it make it more interesting? Like, what's your thoughts on it being that bloody? Because I didn't have an issue with it. Like, it made it more interesting in my opinion.
I didn't have an issue with it either. I thought it was perfectly fine. If anything, it more or less just kind of enhances the experience, if you will.
Yeah,
So it definitely didn't detract from it, if anything.
yeah, I got you. Yeah, I agree. It definitely is. It makes this show. I guess it makes this show's like story and plot. Um, it fits it. It makes the vibes like what it should be. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
um, I'm definitely gonna keep watching this. Like honestly, I probably would have already finished it, but we said we was only gonna watch 6 episodes, and so I literally had to stop watching this. Because I watched 6 episodes in one day, and I was like, yeah, I need to quit watching this. I need to, start working on my notes and stuff. And because if I keep on watching this, I'm literally gonna watch it all in 2 days. Because it was just that intriguing. I'm not sure if I've ever seen like another show with these kind of things going on in it. Like, of course, I've seen like other bloody shows, but I've never seen like this like prison, a private prison, a theme park prison, stuff like that. Like, this is very interesting. So what about you?
um yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna continue watching it myself. There's no doubt about it. When I told you episode 6, I was actually finishing episode 7 at the time. I didn't realize. So that one was slightly my bad. But same thing. It was just yeah, I put it on, I couldn't stop watching. I had to stop because I had to go to bed. Um, and I'm excited about that. So I'm hoping that the rest of the way it's the same. I'm a little upset that it's only 12 episodes plus the OVA, but I think it's gonna be great all the same.
Yeah, and I'm glad that dubbed is pretty decent too. like I said, I didn't have any issues with it. I got used to Ganta's voice or whatever, but I do feel like that. I feel like the subbed, like I said, the subbed was a little weird with their censoring. Apparently, the dub didn't have that, which is wild. So I wonder if that's like just a Japanese thing. They censored it in Japanese. So and they kind of toned it down a lot. So I'm kind of thinking about watching dub the rest of the way through, just because I feel like I've missed a whole lot of the dark side. So so far. Um, but I guess closing this out. I really enjoyed this quite a bit. Uh, I don't get to, like I said, I don't get to see a lot of shows that's this dark that has like an interesting plot. Um, or whatever. I don't have a lot of those. I can only name like a few that has a lot of blood that was kind of interesting or whatever. But I've never seen like a prison a theme park with like underground testing slash fights going on and like this dark. It's dark as hell um as well. And so I'm a big fan of that. I also thought the animation was really good and like they done such a good job with everything. I didn't have no issues with watching it um at all. The art style and stuff, like it fit like the dark vibes. Like everything fit like the dark vibes, even like the music. The music like it made you feel like you was in these situations sometimes. So I'm definitely gonna keep on watching. Like I said, uh, I feel like right now after 6 episodes, it's probably setting it like an 8. I don't know if I would recommend this to like anybody that watches anime. I feel like that you have to like this type of stuff in order to enjoy the show because if you don't like a lot of blood and gore and shit like that, then you're not gonna like this at all. You know, you're gonna hate this because that's what this is. It's very gory. It's very bloody. It's very dark. It's got like some sadistic scenes and moments in it. It's got like you could basically call it torture, bro. And like if you're not a fan of any of those things, then I probably wouldn't watch it. But if you are, like this will probably be a very interesting watch for you, and it'll probably you probably won't be able to put it down like me and Nom. We couldn't hardly put it down. So, what's your final thoughts on it before we get off for tonight?
I would definitely give it an 8 as well. It is really deserving of that score, and on top of that too, it was really captivating for the story that it was telling. Same thing though, I can't recommend it to anyone because I don't think that many people are going to necessarily enjoy it. Like I know a lot of people at my work, for instance, they were already put off from DanDaDan on the first episode, and that wasn't even that bad, right? Like it started off bad, and if you finish the episode, you realize that it was a plot device. But if you can't even get past that as a plot device, you're definitely not going to be able to get into a show like this, especially after um, Mitsuki.
Yeah, Hummingbird.
Yeah.
Especially if
Um,
they're watching it dubbed. You know.
oh God, yeah. No, that was a real shock. So it's one of those things where you really have to carefully recommend this one to somebody. There are a few people that I feel like I could recommend it to, but it's not something that I'm going to go out of my way and be like, "Oh, hey, have you heard about this anime before?" To everyone that I know, you
I
know.
feel like this is I feel like though this is like a popular anime because I've heard it a lot, but I feel like it's popular because like it's kind of like a Akame got killed, right? Like it's popular because of what it is, you know. Akame got killed is like, you know, everybody dies. Like nobody's safe, you know what I mean? Type shit. Like there's a lot of blood, nobody's safe, a lot of deaths. Um and like that's what it's popular for. Like people people go to that popular thing because not a lot of shows does it, right? I feel like this is the same way. I feel like a lot of people watched it because it's got its reputation that it's that dark show that does what a lot of anime don't do. Kind of like Attack on Titan too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's dark, it's bloody.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess I guess that's it for our first look of Deadman Wonderland. I will say, Nom, I want you to go back and watch episode 6, like the 1v1 scenes. I want you to go back and watch it sub too, and let me know what you think of the difference, because it's way different, if I recall correctly. So, but
Yeah,
uh
I can definitely go back and do that.
yeah. That'll be it for our first look at Deadman Wonderland. Let us know how you liked it. You know, let us know in the comments on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, you know, you can let us know in the comments there as well. Make sure you like the video. Tell your friends about us like always. Rate the podcast on your podcast platforms that you use, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. And I guess we'll see y'all on Tuesday for the weekly rundown. Peace.
Later.